Hello guys, today for Fenn Recommends, we're going to be talking about the movie Scanners. The movie was made in 1981, it's an hour 43 minutes long, it's rated R, it was released on DVD in 2001. It has a 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb with about 41,000-ish user votes and 60% on Metacritic with about 8 critics. It stars Jennifer O'Neill, who was in Summer 42, and Stephen Lack, who was in Dead Ringers. And it was directed by David Cronenberg, who we know from the Flying remake. On Rotten Tomatoes, the movie has 77% by critics. It's not certified fresh, so it only has 31 critics, and it's 64% by audiences, with about 1,200-ish audience members. And the critics' consensus on Rotten Tomatoes is Scanners is a dark sci-fi story with special effects that'll make your head explode. It's available to stream on Campy and Filmstruck, and it's available to rent and buy on Amazon, iTunes, and iTunes. I like this movie a lot. It's one of those horror movies it was one of those horror movies that got a reputation for being super gory because of one scene, really. And this film has gory moments, but it's not a gory horror movie. It's more sci-fi driven. It's more dialogue driven, but the horror is there. Some of these moments, like the climax, is just so fucking extreme. It isn't a happy movie. There's a lot of social commentary in the movie about companies selling products and the dangers of like misleading like consumers about products and all that kind of thing. But yeah, it's a very ambitious story. It's one of David Cronenberg's first movies, and one of his I think it was his breakout movie, really. And it's very good. Michael Ironside's also in this, and this was his breakout movie too. Of course, he plays the bad guy. He usually plays the bad guy, but I think what makes this movie stand out really is just kind of the score. Oh, the score is very 80s, and it can get very intense too. The acting's very good. The lead actor I like fine. I know I read some criticism of the lead actor online, and though the lead actor hasn't really been in a lot of movies, I think he's fine. Michael Ironside is the scene stealer, though. He's awesome in this. It's directed well, of course. The story is very good. I think the one thing that really makes this film work is the fact that it is very, very 80s. It's very gritty 80s. I almost get a Taxi Driver vibe from it to a degree, in terms of just how gritty it gets. And even though it's technically an 80s film, it was made in like 81, like I mentioned before, like I mentioned a minute or two ago. It was made in 81, so while it is technically an 80s film, it's very much influenced on the 70s. So it kind of has that gritty vibe to it too, as well. And like typical horror movie fashion, you don't know if the ending's a happy ending or a sad ending, because it's kind of weird. That's what I like about horror movies. The endings aren't always black and white. You can always count on horror movies to have unpredictable endings, which I like. But yeah, there's not much I can say about it. This is our Criterion collection of Scanners. And it's so weird. I expect the approval ratings to be higher for a movie like Scanners. I don't know where the hate comes from. I think because a lot of people expect the movie to be gorier from reputation, but it really isn't. It just has a few incredibly gory scenes, and that's really it. The movie's not spread around with gore. There's action scenes in it, but they're not especially that gory. But it is a shocking film. It tries to shock you with the gore and how over the top it gets. And it's not necessarily. It's also the music and the pacing's good. I like the pacing a lot. But yeah, there's not much more I can say about it. I like it a lot because it's a Cronenberg movie, and his movies have have a very kind of bizarre, very intense, smart horror movies. He makes a lot of intense, smart horror movies, which I love. And he shows that you can make a smart, intense, creative horror movie and have a shit ton of gore in them. And that's what I love about Cronenberg movies. You can have the best of both worlds. You don't have to be a dumb gore fest or a smart thriller. You can be both. And that's what I like about his movies. And Scanners is a great example of that. Very great example of that. But yeah, that's all I have to say about it. Scanners. This movie is tricky to find. You can find it on DVD on Amazon, I believe, but you'll mostly find a Criterion Collection, which isn't cheap. But this one is it's an awesome copy. Don't get me wrong. If you buy the expensive one, it's an awesome copy to have. But you have to keep in mind that copies are expensive, and you're not really going to find it in Walmart or Myers either, unfortunately, unless something changes. And it's not a big streaming movie either, so the only chance you're really going to watch it's really just buying the DVD, which it's worth it. Don't get me wrong, it's worth it. But but if you're not a DVD person, if you're all big in streaming, you're going to struggle finding this. You might end up renting it to watch on a stream or something. That's really... Or if you happen to catch it on cable like DirecTV, which I never have, ever. So, you're better off just getting the DVD. I'm sure there's cheap versions of it available somewhere, but you're gonna have to dig a little. But outside of that, it's worth the watch. It's a great horror movie. But yeah, that's Scanners. Check it out. You won't regret it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like the videos, and have a good day.